It's Sleeman and Sal, episode 7. We talk round 10. Surprise, surprise. We are talking about Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs, the second podcast. It's an emergency podcast, supposedly. It's Sleeman. How you going?
I'm not doing too well. How are you, Sal?
I'm good. You're not doing well?
I said not doing too well. I'm okay.
Oh, okay. You don't seem enthusiastic.
I'm not a very enthusiastic person. It's been a rough couple of days. But everything's been good. Everything happening around, with the Casula and the Narelle and Picton area. Hopefully everyone's staying safe.
Yes, the hotspots everywhere. And in terms of hotspots, we've got some hot guests here tonight. We've got Jimmy, Emile, and Jamie. So Jamie, Emile, Jimmy, welcome back, guys.
Thanks for having us back.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for having us back.
Yeah.
Tonight we're going to talk about, now last week we touched on the Bulldogs. We spoke about which coaches we're going to go after and which players we should go after as well. And then
So
a lot has happened. And then a lot has happened. So we've had Dean Pay was sacked and he paid the price. He paid the price and was sacked. I want to go to Jimmy firstly about this. It's obviously no surprise that he was sacked. 1 win from 9 matches. Jim, how did you feel about the sacking?
Well, one thing that really alarmed me was and I tweeted about this as well, that the media were kind of trying to portray him as the victim of, the whole sacking process and stuff. And, for those of us that have watched Bulldogs games the past 3 seasons, we know that this was inevitable, something that was always going to happen, whether it was going to be now or at the end of the season. I think for the better, it's probably better for that they parted ways. And it's going to be interesting to see now who the new coach is going to be. But I definitely agree with the decision.
And Emile, what were your thoughts of the sacking? I mean, you've been calling it for a long time, just as myself.
Yep.
Did you feel that it was too soon or it was too late?
It's too late. It's too late. We've wasted way too much time, and I touched on this last week. For each week we didn't do something, we're losing another week of our future of being able to spend the salary cap space we have. The fact that it's come to this, and the fact that they pretty much waited for him to jump as well, because they were too weak to actually make a decision themselves, I think says everything. Says everything about how this club's being run at the moment. We could have let him leave with some dignity intact, which would have been at least fair. In fact, instead, it's just been played out pretty shabbily. I feel sorry for him as a man, as a person, but as a coach, he should have gone ages ago. And that's not his fault either. And it's not his fault he was put into a job that he was clearly not up for either.
And just to ask Jamie, so Jamie, back in the Roosters before Robinson days, Brad Fittler had a chance. And then he left. Do you feel it's a similar sort of thing?
Well, he didn't leave, Sal. He got sacked.
Yeah,
he got bid.
Yeah. So in terms of that, though, he was a former Roosters legend. Played for the Dogs. I mean, what are your thoughts? Is it similar? Or what are your thoughts of Pay's sacking?
There are a few similarities in that. We wanted a Roosters guy in there. Fittler was showing a lot of promise. The point of the difference is Fittler was a brand new, out-of-the-packet coach. Whereas Pay's been around the traps a long, long time, over different systems. You kind of knew what you were getting with him, whereas Fittler was like, okay, let's see what happens. But let's not forget, he was playing an Astor at fullback. That was instant signal that he's over his head, and his good mate Politis had to tap him on the shoulder, said, mate, this is not for you. But it did cause a lot of risk because he was promised a bit of space, a bit of time to develop. And like with Pay, coming from the outside looking, because I didn't have the emotions that you guys do, it's very hard to get your head around someone that's told you got to wait till this date and then we're going to have an open cachet. But, I kind of see it as the board being pretty hypocritical as well, because they're asking for understanding and time from different factions, but they don't have the same luxury for their coach. You know what I mean? It's tough because you want results, but I've said since the start of the comp. But at least you guys are trying. There's teams there that have 3 times the roster that aren't even showing the effort. But what can you do? You need something to change. It's not going well.
And Emile, you were going to say something just then?
Yeah, well, I want to touch on that. Fair questions, and great to hear from an outsider looking in. I'm enough of a psycho that I've been to all of the board catch-up meetings, their engagement with the fan group and all that sort of thing over the last few years. Since these guys have come in, they've begged for more time. It was wait till the end of 2020, wait till 2021, wait till this, wait till that. We've gotten to 2020. We were told, all right, we're gonna be able to spend the salary cap in 2020. We're going to see large improvement in 2020, and then 2021 we're going to go for it. Where's any of this? Where's any of this? Dean Pay was very, very clearly told he had the first half of this season to prove himself, whether he'll be offered a new contract or not. We're halfway through the season. We've won 1 game. He got told he wasn't going to see the year out. What's the problem here? What's being portrayed in the media is poor, beautiful Dean Pay. Everyone's talking like this is his first season.
Yeah.
And that's sending me crazy.
And just I'll shoot to Jimmy about a question here. If Dean Pay had a better squad, do you think that he could coach the squad to a premiership?
I don't know. He just doesn't give me the vibe that he's a premiership winning coach. From what I'd seen the past 3 seasons, we were a team that was mediocre maybe 3 seasons. I think that would be a fair enough statement to say. Whereas in those 3 seasons, we just went backwards year by year. No, I don't think so. I couldn't see him as a premiership winning coach, to be honest.
Yeah, one of the things I noticed this year, and I spoke to Emile about this a while back, it was actually a couple of months ago, was I did not see the young guns improve. That was one of the things that I highlighted that noticed to me that he wasn't, just like Jimmy just said, wasn't first grade coach material or up to standard as a first grade coach. My biggest issue though, and I've been saying this and you guys have been seeing it all over Twitter and the WhatsApp groups you've got, is if he stayed, who would want, and no disrespect to the man obviously, but who would want to play under him from another team unless we pay overs?
And the proof's been in the attempted signings.
If you pay overs for a player, I'll just make it up. Let's say Nick Kotrick, let's say he's worth 650, 700, we'll pay 800. He comes over, he's got his package, he sits back, and he turns into I don't know, this is a bad example, but maybe Turner Williams, where he just came in and just did nothing. And he just says, I've got it. I've got what I need to do. But obviously, Nick Kotrick would want to play Origin and what have you. But Jamie, do you think that's a big element of when you're a coach to draw the players in, you want to play for the coach? And do we think that what I just said in terms of pay not having that bargaining power, that attraction, is a vastly important factor when choosing a coach or having a particular coach?
Well, for those caliber of players that you're talking about, the first thing they're going to look at is what can that style of football offer me moving forward. Like you said, Nick Kotrick wants to play representative football. There's a likelihood of him just being in the wilderness if he's in a system where he's not getting quality ball, he's not racking up his stats and try assists. That game of the Broncos I watched, there was a lot of effort, but it looked very lost. There was just it was a lot of blowing opportunities, but there was no structure. It was just, let's give it to forward and see what forward can do for us. And if I'm an elite back or if I'm a back rower that wants to play off a 5'8" or a half, which you don't really have, I'm not really looking to go there, especially with the tactics that they're displaying this season. So to your point of having a new coach, fresh ideas, that supports that. But yeah, that's the first thing I'm looking for is the way they play football. And, you know, it's not the most attractive style at the moment.
Mm-hmm. So you would look elsewhere, wouldn't you? You would look for
I'd look for a system where I'd slot in and I'm looking for not instant success, but something I feel comfortable that I can contribute, and I'm pushing that structure forward in terms of, am I playing in a team that needs me to fire every week, or do I need to go in and just do my job and we're more than likely going to win? So in that sense, you're looking at guys that going to have to play out of their skin every single week to get Cannon be competitive each week? Or do I go to a Canberra and slot in and everything's in front of me? I just do my job. I don't have to be a superstar every week. Do I go to a Roosters and play like Brett Morris and find a new lease of life? Those kind of systems, they're what you're looking for. Like, you'll take unders to go play those systems because your football is going to be speaking for itself. Like, all these guys are obviously talented. You don't want to go there and be flogged to death at the end of your career or midway in your career and just find ways to lose every week. It's going to be frustrating.
And Jamie, I think it was 3 weeks ago, we talked about what coaches would go over to the Dogs, and you brought up Trent Barrett. It is likely that it's going to be Trent Barrett. What are your thoughts about Trent? And do we feel that he's the right man to take this job?
Well, he took over Manly in a kind of in a phase where Manly were in the similar situation where they were just stagnant. Their football was kind of on the downward turn after all those grand finals. You can't really say he brought on Tommy. Tommy was going to fly no matter what coach he had in front of him. So it's kind of a disillusion there. But he had pieces come in that Fanil Blake fell in, to Powell find his feet. These guys, they'll get a start in most lineups. You look at Canterbury, do they have those kind of players that will start in most lineups? No, they don't. So, you got to realise what the cattle is there and what he can bring in. But it's tough. He does have a track record of bringing guys into that play what you see style, but at the same time, you're not seeing much of anything at the moment from what he's got if he goes there.
Yeah, unless he signs some players and brings some players over from Penrith. Sleeman, I might chuck it to you, who's been quite quiet.
Just waiting to be addressed.
What are your we're going to spend some time on the board in a moment, but what are your thoughts about the sacking of Dean Pay? Was it too soon? Was it too early? And your thoughts about Trent Barrett taking over the side? And if he does, what would you do if you were Trent Barrett looking for next year if you had this open cap that we have, supposedly?
I'm going to address the second part of that. Actually, I'll address the first part real quick, so I don't think I need to touch on too much from what Emile has. Emile was spot on. It should have happened sooner. I think the board, I don't like getting rid of coaches halfway through the season. I think it should have been it was basically in round 3 or round 4 when they beat the Dragons, unfortunately. I think if they had lost to the Dragons, I dare say he would have been sacked then. It would have been better to bring on a coach or just find out what you're working with, test some of the younger players. Doing it literally halfway through the season, we're going to get the spoon. I know that sometimes when there's a new coach, you might win a game or so, but I don't see that happening this year. I don't know if we'll win another game. We might beat the Warriors, we might beat the Titans, but other than that, I don't think we'll win another game this season. So I would have let Pay coach out the season. I would have told him in 5 more weeks to say that contract would not be renewed. I think they did it too early, and the reason why they did it early because fans like us, the people that vote them in, were pressuring them to make changes because what was happening wasn't working. So they succumbed to pressure. It's an election year, I think, for the board, so they had no choice. So it's not nice knowing people quit and walk out and get fired. It just wasn't a good opportunity for Pay. I don't think he showed any promise, to be honest. I don't think he showed anything that was wow. I think there's plenty of assistant coaches that would have done the same job as him. He didn't show us anything that would, to be honest, I don't think would any other team sign him up as a head coach.
Not in Australia.
No. So that answers that. But Trent Barrett, the rhetorical question I'm going to say is, who else can we sign? Like, no one else will join the Bulldogs. I think we'll be lucky to get Trent Barrett. If I'm Trent Barrett, do I want to coach the Bulldogs? Probably not.
No.
But if you had an opportunity to sign 2 or 3 players, you had an open checkbook, would you? There's an opportunity there.
I'm going to give you a classic. I'm going to give 2 examples.
Yep.
So, in the NBA, The New York Knicks, after New York Knicks for the last 10 years, they've had a couple of good years in those 10 years, but generally pretty poor.
Correct.
And every 3 or 4 years where they clear up all the salary, there's a big name marquee free agent that is saying, yep, we're going to put all our money into these guys. And nobody just wants to play with the Knicks because the Knicks are the Knicks. They've got a bad ownership, bad direction. They're just horrible. Now, I don't think we're as bad as that, but we could have $3 million, $6 million, $8 million in cap. Doesn't mean that a player's going to sign with us unless we do pay overs.
Yeah.
So
we need to find that person to get these players. We need to find the right person that can get these players.
So look at the Knights, for example. So I think we all got short-term memory loss. 5 years ago, they paid overs for some pretty average players, but they needed to. And they were literally in the same situation as us. Wayne Bennett came there, signed some very old players on long-term deals. He left. They couldn't sign anyone new for a year or so because of the salary cap restraints, and then they had to build forward again. So thing is, like Trent Barrett who's he going to bring from Penrith or Manly? Maybe Naden, who I don't mind that bad because if he's got a battle with Farre and Crichton for the centre position. But if I'm the Panthers, I'd be pushing Farre out of the door very soon because he's getting to his 30s. You have,
but they got Burden as well there.
Jamie's best mate Burden, but that's the thing. Like we can't Burden's not going to save the Bulldogs.
There was a centre there. I think Charlie Staines. He got 4 tries on the weekend, but it's got dropped now because
he breached COVID.
Yeah.
So maybe sign him as a fullback. They signed Dylan Edwards because supposedly the Staines guy is a fullback. Remember, it's a one game, and he did have some promising signs. But to be honest, there was 1 or 2 tries that even I on the wing could have scored. Same thing with Matt. Same with the Roosters winger that scored 5 tries. There was one or two tries that were spectacular, like acrobatic. I'll give that to him. But
wait a minute, Sleeman. Are you saying that we were going to be in the crowd giving you high fives and then took a party the next day? If you were scoring those 5
just speak
tries?
to Eli. I started at the Rovers as a back rower. I got pushed into the wing for the year, and that's where I got my nickname Cement from. I did a big shoulder charge on a player from the wing.
Oh, dear.
Nice.
Well,
I
look,
thought it was good your feet.
And that was in the Matt Utah days, by the way. So those short, stumpy guys were the thing.
Oh, it was the thing.
he was
yeah.
sensational.
But
Sleeman, I see your point about who else is there. I mean, look, there's obviously Anthony Griffin, there's just Tuvey and Wayne, but they're long odds. Marcus not there.
Tuvey won't come to us. He won't. If anything, Tuvey should be going for board roles rather than coaching.
Is that because it's an accountant, Sleeman?
Yeah, that's an accountant speech right there.
Yeah, got to support my accountant.
Have we seriously declined that bad that we can't get a coach with clout?
Okay.
Is it that bad now?
Okay, this is a good starting point. Jamie, go, sorry.
Can I ask you the question? Let's get the tinfoil hats out.
I love doing that.
There was a rumor really strong over the weekend that Eddie Jones is really interested.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Can he coach rugby league?
I'd give him a crack.
I don't know.
Can Dean Pay coach rugby league?
Wait.
He can't, no.
What do we have to lose? If Matty Johns is going to support Eddie Jones like he supports the Knights on his bloody shows, bring in Eddie Jones. Maybe we can get some good merit and good publicity from that, so then we can sign a half-decent sponsor, get some money in it, and then maybe sign some players in the future.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's my question.
Don't worry about signing rugby union players. We just need some structure.
And he's got some clout.
Now, here is my $1 million question.
All right, Sal. Come on.
Let's talk about the board. And I get heated up when I'm talking about the board here. They got voted in February 2018.
Yeah.
And Sleeman, did you have what I'm about to show, or should I just show it?
I'm gonna show you.
I think I've sent it to you. I'm just trying to find it here. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I know what you're talking about. I can put it up. Just quickly.
Yeah.
Did you guys, Ray Dibb, Sal's best mate, signed Dean Pay as the coach?
Yeah, we know this. Yeah.
So
there's a reason why. There's a reason why.
Sal, as much as we give crap to Lynn Anderson, she didn't sign Dean Pay. She didn't choose her coach.
They re-signed him. They gave him a new contract when they should have sacked him. Yeah. I was excited when we got Dean Pay because he was a good assistant. He was a chance of doing well.
Sal, that's the picture that you're looking for, right?
Here we go.
Yeah. Now,
courtesy of NRL 360.
Yeah, courtesy of NRL office
Thanks,
and
Kenty.
TV. You guys can hear me, obviously. So my thoughts about Dean Pay was the signing of Dean Pay was to satisfy the members because there was an election that year. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Emile. You would know this better than me.
Uh-huh.
He was signed, and now we've got this reform ticket agenda.
Yeah.
Now, Sleeman knows more than anyone. He set an agenda in front of me, stays in my mind. Engage with members and fans. Costs.
That is a 0 out of 10. If there was a number less than 0.
Yes. I love number 5 in culture. It should have passion in there. Develop our people. I don't even know what that means. Develop a new strategic plan. Yeah. No. Focus on our junior league. Look, I'll give them the fact about COVID's probably stopped that. So I'll probably swipe out number 8.
And they've done a bit with the Bulldogs Academy where they had, the program focused on fundamental movements and upskill and education and stuff. And it was free of charge. So I know it would have been good for families that would have had financial hardship and stuff if they had any kids that wanted to try out and stuff. So I know they've been doing stuff there, but I don't know their retention and stuff, how they would keep them or offer them scholarships and stuff.
Yeah, well, Jimmy, and that's a good thing. Obviously, that is a really good thing. The two things that I look there that really drives me nuts is number 3 and number 5. With number 5, brought in the old dogs. The old former players that did a nice picture piece.
Dogs of war.
Of the team, they were going to get them involved. The Chris Andersons, the Ryans, and the rest. It went nowhere. It did not work, and that led to what I keep on saying, and Emile keeps saying this too: the poor governance and accountability. The fact of the matter is, we voted in a board that is based on the historic family kind of culture of the club, the kind of historic movement that there is. We're trying to bring back the 80s. Lynn Anderson comes in of her crew. We don't have a major sponsor. We don't sign any good players. We can't even get a good coach. What have they brought to the table, Emile? And this is your chance because when I see poor governance, when you have an organization that cannot tick 10 boxes like those ones that were up, they get sacked.
Yes.
We've failed a majority of these items and we were promised the world, and it is just diabolical. And what Tolman came out today and said that it all starts from the top. Well, it does. And is it self-interest, Emile?
It is self-interest. I followed that up today I followed that up with the fish rocks at the head because that's exactly what happens. And that's exactly what's happening here. Look, they're a board that is clearly just, much like Dean Pay, just out of their depth. The biggest issue through all this, put aside all the governance, communication is horrendous. And at all the fan forums, everyone that's gone has fed back to them that your communication is horrendous. And yet nothing's improved. People email, I'm going to get specific. People email Lynn Anderson, she doesn't reply. People ask perfectly valid questions, they don't get answers. They let, and this is down to the CEO Hill as well, they let the media absolutely go to town on us with rumour, with innuendo, claiming we've signed this, claiming we've signed that, claiming we've had discussions with this. They let the leakers leak. They let everything be played out in the media. We do not hear a word from the club. Now, once Andrew Hill told us at a meeting that, we don't respond to media speculation. That is just terrible. They let the media crawl all over us. They let them devise all these scenarios. The fans just sit here. We just sit here. Today, there were about 30 different articles about what was happening, all contradicting each other. This has been happening for the last 3 years. We deserve to be told what the hell is going on. I understand some things are commercial in confidence. I get that. I've been working with $1 million contracts since I was 20. I get that. I understand that. But there are things the members and fans and the public need to know. And if the media is going to town on you and posting untruths, you need to get out there and stamp that out. You need to take control of the media.
I might just add to Emile, there was an article today by James Hooper.
Oh, yes. This one.
Directly quoted Corey saying that he never wants to wear a Bulldogs jersey again or something. Things like that, you know.
They had to
and
correct that because he never actually said it.
Yeah,
It was a made-up quote.
exactly.
And with Corey Harawira,
Yes.
it seems to me, and this, when I'm hearing that we're doing a direct swap for Lafai,
What?
me throughout all this business that he went through and all that, he went through hardship. Now, he made a mistake. He went through hardship. I get it. It sounds to me, and Jamie, I'll throw it to you. It sounds to me that the board, and again, it comes down to communication, but not even bother communicating. It seems to me over the course of the last 3-4 months that he was at home doing nothing. They've now suggested, we'll have a meeting with you on Friday. They've pretty much forgotten about him. He was one of our best players. I think he's a great player and he's a fantastic to play for that.
He is our best player on his day.
And I get Luke Thompson's come in, and I get Luke Thompson's taken the front end of the lock. But if we lose Elliott, this he's got to be in the starting lineup somewhere.
That Indigenous game at the start of the year, this guy was ripe for a banging year, showing all the signs of finally having that breakout season that we all thought he'd have at Penrith. Didn't really kick on. But going back to your question, it takes a strong board to say, okay, this guy doesn't want to be here. Let's just be professional, keep tabs on him. But he's obviously not going to stick around. Let's bargain somewhere else for this guy that doesn't want to be here. He's worth something to someone else. At least get something out of it. Getting a Tim Lafai that can't even crack a Dragons team that's struggling to score points, that's not using leverage. That's not anything.
And Jamie, there's a trend to that because look at the last 4 players that we've been supposedly chasing and we haven't even delivered, which is probably a good thing. Josh Reynolds, Goodwin, Lafai. Who's next?
God help.
What's Sherwin doing?
Dean Britt's father.
I was actually thinking, what's Aaron Warburton and Ben Kozlowski doing these days?
Oh, yeah.
Playing chess somewhere? I mean, it goes to the same pathway. We're going through the players that were playing in Canterbury before.
Can we get Jared Hickey?
Big, bad, bustling
Please?
Jared Hickey.
Yes.
Michael Hodgson.
So I think you're being harsh on Tim Lafai. I think he's a great centre. I think he showed great.
He'll add something. That's
My Slayman, my point
he's an
is
upgrade to what the centres that we have right now.
Of course he is, but Slayman, okay, the one going after Sailor. We spoke about the players that we would like last week.
But maybe Sailor doesn't want to
None of them
join
have
the
been
Bulldogs.
Because
None
of
of
that
them have been
fact that we
mentioned.
spoke about.
But none of them have been mentioned, Slayman.
And you got to remember, we're taking Lafai that has his own little bit of baggage. Remember, during COVID, he had a breakdown. He had to go see some help. So Corey Harawira has his baggage. So does Tim Lafai. It makes sense, to be honest. I don't want Corey Harawira at the Bulldogs. I know you guys are all in love with him, but I'm sorry, what he did was tough. It's a bad image. We've struggled to get away from this Coffs Harbour's 2000s, early 2000 days, where we were charged allegedly with raping and gang bangs and stuff like that. And I'll give some blame to the board. How the fudge are we still going back to Coffs Harbour and all these areas again? Just play your preseason at Belmore. That's it.
Hold on, we can't swear anymore on this thing, or are you just saying fudge?
I was going to say that, you know what, I'll just in one of those moods.
Because I'm walking out.
Yeah.
Well, Sleeman, you've got a background of accounting. And let's talk numbers quickly in terms of sponsorship deals. The current, when's the last, we don't have a major sponsor this year. It's bad. And I get this COVID. Mm-hmm. How much accountability does it fall on the board? I mean, it's probably a stupid question, but will changing the board allow us to fix this issue, do you think?
Changing the board. It depends if you bring in board members with commercial connections. Let's be real. Lynn Anderson doesn't have commercial connections. Her husband was allegedly going to liquidation for not paying contractors and employees and stuff like that. The great Chris Anderson. As much as, that looks shady with the Bulldogs with having dibs and the whole Lebanese stereotypes and everything like that, they brought in the dollars. They brought in the funding that we needed. They brought in the players that we needed.
What are you trying to say, bro? Oh, my God.
Well, and we can't hide from that, from our culture. It's just a fact. It is what it is. And there's nothing wrong with our culture, to be honest. But besides that, whether they're white, brown, yellow, green, orange, you need to bring people that have commercial connections. I'd bring in someone like Steve Warren to the board.
Oh.
Now, I wouldn't
Now
put
you're
him as
touching my buttons. Now you're touching my buttons.
Oh, look at him. Look fire up.
Look at him, excited.
Lehman,
If
let's
only this
just
was a video podcast, guys.
Lehman surprised me with this. He knows how much of a huge fan I am of Steve Waugh. But
He
continue.
was waiting for this.
He's a Bulldog supporter. If it's not him, it's his brother Mark. But I think they've got some connections. They can probably tug some sponsorship. Chris Anderson hasn't been relevant, or Lynn Anderson hasn't been relevant since he won the grand final in 1999.
Just Lehman, my $1 million question to you is: they were voted in.
Yeah.
They were voted in. I was pulling my hair apart because of that sole reason. I knew, and I tweeted back in 2018, the sponsorship, the buyer power, the political power, the transaction costs that we faced moving forward after that board got signed in was so immense that it was going to push us through the mud, and we're now there.
We are there.
It is a no-brainer. I mean, Jamie, look at the Roosters board and look at the Souths board. Yellow Brick Road, Anthony Bell and Souths. I can keep going. It is
Mark Burris. It's unshakable.
Who's on the Roosters board, the Channel 9?
Gingel's, the former ex-CEO of Channel 9. You got Mark Burris. Pretty much every big hitter in town is on that board.
Clout,
Compare that.
That is clout, right there.
Yeah.
Compare that to Canterbury. This is the biggest issue. When you look at an organisation, you don't vote on emotion, and this is what the members did. We voted on emotion. We now have got this board. We've now sunk. Bad coach. Oh, coach is gone. Now we're looking at one coach. If it was Roosters, that board, if it was South of that board, or any organisation that has power brokers within the shareholders and the board members, committee, you bring in the dollars. I'm part of a committee in the industry that I work in, and our job is to go get the sponsorship dollars, and we do because we know partners of firms and what have you.
Yeah.
All of it. The Paul Duns, the Steve Prices, the Lynn Andersons, I can keep going. There's a couple there that I do like, but bringing in the dollars, and we have.
It doesn't sound like you like anyone, but go on.
Hold on a minute. I went to war with somebody yesterday on Twitter because of that. On the jersey, we've got blank.
Yeah. It's disgusting.
We've got to think better when we vote in the member. That's why I was a fan of Dib. It was because he brought forward. He was very good with Politis. It made sense. He was on the board of the New South Wales. Was it the New South Wales committee? I think it was. There's dollar signs there. This is where we went wrong.
Yep. Starts
from the top. We brought in the passion and the culture, the old dogs, and it crashed.
It's a disaster. It's an absolute disaster.
So, boys, if you're Trent Barrett and you've just left, you got sacked or you walked away from that last club because they couldn't deliver on all these promises you made for whether it's training facilities or infrastructure or coaches, you have a potential new job and you've got infighting on the board level. Do you look at that with hesitation?
Well, this is why I don't think it's a done deal. I think he's sitting at home considering whether I want to go back to another shit show.
Yeah.
Or does he stay at Penrith and ride the coattails for a year or so, 2 years, and watch premierships roll in?
And they've told him he's got a future there.
Yeah.
And when he was head coach in Manly as well, I think he only had about a 40% win rate. So he might be a bit sceptical as well because he'd be in a similar situation to where he started with Manly.
Yeah,
I don't think he'll be in a similar situation. He'll probably be in a worse situation because at least he had the Trbojevic brothers and Daly Cherry Evans. He's got nothing when he comes to the
Jamie, I would, and this is why Eddie Jones might be a good idea, is because Eddie would go in and say, "Well, give me power like Des Hasler did."
You give him everything.
Yeah, I don't think Trent Barrett could bring forward that sort of mindset or that offering. I think Eddie Jones could potentially bring sponsors. Maybe you got
to think about this guy's star power in Japan. He's a demigod.
He's a star.
He's been at South Africa. He's been to England. He's done basically everything you can do in that sport. So he's got all these branches.
He's won World Cups. He's played. He's coached World Cups. Sorry.
Yeah.
He's done the
So on the pure commercial side, he can attract what you guys need. Like if the board can't deliver, this guy's got the contacts to say, hit this guy. Let's start the ball rolling. Let's start getting guys that actually want to wear this jumper that are worth $1 million.
And this is what I was saying last week, in that we need to get someone to the club who doesn't take any shit from no matter how bad your board is, no matter how bad the management is. This guy will come in and go my way or the fucking highway.
Yeah, make no mistake. This guy does not muck around. He's ruffled a few feathers in a industry where they're very uptight and apprehensive of change, and he just doesn't give a shit. He just goes in there, does his job, and his trophy cabinet says it all. So, ideally,
what came to mind, Jamie, is also imagine if he takes a trial game to Japan. I mean, I'm just thinking in terms of
exactly. You think outside of the box, this guy can take you for an overseas trip and have an exhibition match, or
can we not take our players overseas and no school visits or anything? Can we stick with Chris and keep us at Belmont?
I remember the Roosters tried to pinch a couple of South African kids out of high school, and it didn't work out. But the talent pool that this guy might be not just Australian, New South Wales backyards. This guy's got feelers out in England, South Africa.
My problem with Eddie Jones, it's not my problem. The problem that would arise, I've heard, and Emile might want to jump in, or Jimmy, is Lynn Anderson, and I've been hearing, loves control. And someone like Eddie Jones that comes in and wants control, she won't give it to him.
Well, that's why she likes Dean Pay, mate, because she pulls the strings.
Yeah, she's pulling the strings.
And he doesn't stand up. He doesn't stand up for himself.
And this is the reason why we'll never sign Craig Bellamy, a Bennett, because they will want control. They will want to be able to have the final say in decisions. And as long as you have a board like this, it won't happen. Now, I know fans are going to be scarred because of Des Hasler, but the worst thing that Des Hasler did was do back-ended contracts. He still kept us relevant. Back contracts do work.
Selectively.
If you get it right. Yeah.
He had a couple of bad ones. We're all not perfect. So anyway.
And we're banking on a higher salary cap, which never eventuated. The detriment and demise of the former board. But gentlemen, I think that was a really good conversation. We're interested to see who we sign. I think it's going to be Trent Barrett, and if it is, I sincerely hope that there is a rival ticket, and a rival ticket can bring dollars, and it could be a wake-up call in terms of who we sign. I'm really hoping there's some big player that does join a rival ticket, and if whoever's listening, do it. If you've got the connections in your back pocket, go for it.
Do it. My number one coach is still Griffin. We're going to say that.
All right.
I would like Griffin and Barrett, but anyway.
Gentlemen, while we're talking about Bulldogs, let's just go straight into it. The matches for the weekend. We'll go Dragons Bulldogs. This is a Saturday 3:00 game, which we all might. Well, I'm interested. So remember. I got the wrong heading, loser win spoons. I was supposed to change the heading to say this was a game 6 weeks ago where we said the loser of this game, coach gets sacked. Now, if the Bulldogs beat the Dragons, I feel like McGregor, nothing's going to happen with McGregor.
No, Flanagan's coaching the team at the moment. If that isn't obvious to everyone that watched last week. Flanagan's coaching the Dragons. There's no doubt.
So you could even see it in the coaching box.
Oh, absolutely. McGregor's a figurehead. Nothing.
Jimmy, you would know the word to that when you see a relevance of.
He's a puppet.
To the other. What's the English word?
What Sleeman said, puppet.
All right, we'll use that. It's a late night show. I think the Dufty move to fullback has brought the breast out in their backs. It's just. This remarkable move, and I'm happy for McGregor. I think he looks excited.
Yeah, of course, he doesn't have to worry about coaching.
Well, I'll be interested to see because if they beat the Bulldogs this week, they're very close to the top 8. If he makes the top 8, does he keep his job or do they not re-sign him?
He's keeping it anyway.
I think they'll sign both of them, Sleeman. I think they'll just move forward off the same. If they're working really well together,
why not? Yeah.
Doesn't matter what your title is. Someone's always told me it doesn't matter what title you are.
Amen to that.
It's about
what your ego, Sal. There's egos. Yeah. I know I'm not a fan of Flanagan, but I feel like his ego would get in the way.
Yeah.
But But an important
Potentially.
point about this game is George Ellis, in the space of a few hours, decided to pick our fullback at fullback, picked our
Yes.
wingers at wing,
But
and dropped Britt. Like, that's
Emile,
a start.
he put Lachlan Lewis at 7.
He did, when he should be 13.
And Jamie loves these. I can't wait for the bombs.
Yeah, backwards bombs coming.
I don't think even he knows where they're going.
Yeah.
It's a surprise to everyone.
Lachlan Lewis is a 13, and you cannot convince me otherwise.
Listen, I like Lewis. I think
I do
sorry.
too.
I don't love him. He's okay. He's a first grader. His defense, I'm in love with his defense. His
His
attack,
defense is fantastic.
his attack, I don't like it. I hope that the
Where would you put him, Sleeman? Would you turn him into a 9?
Yeah, I think he would work as a 9.
Or center?
I actually liked Cogger playing the 9 a couple of weeks ago when Marshall King was forced into the centres. So, yeah, I can see him at a 9.
I also liked when Holland went to 9.
Oh God!
Can we not?
Oh dear.
Guys, I feel like anyway. Well, so just quickly, Bulldogs no chance, everybody.
No, there's a chance.
Okay.
With Dufty at the back, I think St George are on a good run, man.
Yeah, they've had players playing well. Paul Vaughan's been playing well. Dufty as well. I thought Manly were dreadful, to be honest, last week. But
it's a bit of
right.
smoke screen there, man.
Yeah.
But
Players will get a rocket this week too. They'll want to lift.
Well, after my Cowboys prediction last week, I'm not brave enough to tip the Bulldogs this week.
I was thinking about you the whole first 20
I
minutes.
was thinking about
The first 30 minutes was fantastic.
I was sweating.
I lost so much money on that game. I mean, gamble responsibly.
So, guys, I just wanted to quickly talk about 2 things before we go into this next match. The teams that impressed, I thought the Panthers were. I thought it was going to be a tighter game against the Sharks. They were unbelievable.
Trent Barrett's Panthers. Yep.
I was really impressed.
The rookie on debut, Charlie. He had his mates from Forbes up there. That was fun to watch.
That was good.
Crichton played well. Jerome Luai. I know, Jamie, you're disappointed. I thought Tyrone May, that last ball to get Charlie's
is very, very good. Yeah.
And like I said, I know he's had his dramas with the, I love rugby league.
Yeah, rat bags, yeah.
But he could be I would take him on the Bulldogs at 200 or 250K.
He's off contract.
Yeah.
That off contract list is very, very juicy for someone.
What do we have to lose?
Exactly.
Sorry, I zoned out for a minute.
Oh, wow. Well, I think Sal's basically telling me he's had enough of talking about the Panthers.
I've been leading this podcast, Sleeman.
The players that disappointed, a close second was Drinkwater, Sal's best mate. He dropped 3 dead sitters.
Yeah, they were awful.
I'm putting Kyle Felt because if he wasn't a noted goal kicker, fair enough. You miss a kick from in front. But he is a noted goal kicker, a very good goal kicker. And to be honest, it changed the game. They would have gone into the half 8-0 up against the Roosters, and they ended up being behind 12-6, and they're still a chance.
Are you picking them this week? Are you picking the Cowboys this week?
That will come up in this next match against Panthers. And, you know what? Jimmy, you bring it up. Why not? Sorry, Sal, go on.
Can I just make a quick comment? When I was watching the game, the commentators kept saying, what on earth did Paul Green say at halftime?
Yeah.
Paul Green sitting there, just red face and not even moving. And I was like, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Had him on the ropes and he blew it. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe the false sense of hope. I don't know. Maybe they took it easy. Anyway, we've got the Panthers and the Cowboys. Holmes is out 8 to 10 weeks. Their star signing. I'm going to bring in an NBA comparison. So I'm always bringing an NBA. Sal, fall asleep. So last year,
it's coming back soon.
Last year, no, I'm excited. Last year in the NBA playoffs, Kevin Durant, just before the final, like the championship rounds, he had a strained Achilles. Now they never mentioned that it was a strained Achilles. They said a strained calf, which basically means you got a strained Achilles. He was never fit to play. They should have never for his career. I know he was a winner and he's a baller. But he should have never played. He played a very crucial game, 3 or 4. He lit it up the first quarter, went for a shot, tore his Achilles.
Yeah.
Valentine Holmes, he should have never played
No.
that game. Never played that game. And now he's out 8 to 10 weeks with surgery.
It's
I
so
hate,
bad.
and I don't blame Valentine Holmes for this because I feel like he was pressured from coaches.
This is a failure of coaching, no doubt.
These guys are pushed to their limits.
Yep.
Every man has his limits. Do you remember that quote, Sal?
Yes.
I got told that plenty of times. Every man has his limits. You'd rather a healthy player that you're comfortable that will play a full game versus he looked like 30% of the player out there who was a passenger for basically the whole half.
Yeah.
And
then
then
Simon, is there a little bit there where a player will tell the coach, I want to play? Do you think? Is there an element of that?
yeah, but then the coaching staff needs to be smart enough to be telling Valentine Holmes, yes, we know you want to play, but we're going to rest you up because you're not ready. Your body's not ready. If you can't play the game at fullback, we signed you as a fullback. Everyone thought he got demoted. It was because he couldn't run around.
Yeah.
It's a complete failure of coaching. I mean,
Yeah.
This is a difference between Paul Green and Craig Bellamy. Craig Bellamy would have told him to go sit in his box until he was fit again. I don't care how much badly you want to play. Paul Green, unfortunately, of course, you're our big superstar. You do what you want.
Jimmy, tell me, Panthers, Cowboys. I'm not going to put the mockers on this
easy
one.
Panthers, easy one.
Everyone agree with Jimmy?
Panthers.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go to the team that we touched on it. I feel like someone mentioned that they were disappointed by Manly. I think it was Jimmy. Jimmy,
Yeah.
You agree with me, right?
Oh, they were awful. They were just, yeah. I mean, they haven't been great this season, but this was definitely the worst match they've played thus far.
How does Jimmy, like one player, Tommy Trebojevic, like how does that affect the team? I guess Adam Fanua-Blake as well missing, but how does two players make a team play so poorly?
Oh, tell me about it. Yeah, I was disappointed. I was expecting a close match with St. George, and I thought that was actually one of the hardest games to tip. It turned out to be whitewash. Yeah, it's amazing how just two players that can actually affect your whole side and mentality, and they were just not in the game at all.
Yeah.
Just the first 8 minutes, I think they scored a try, and they didn't score since. So.
Yeah, well, I tell you what.
I'll tell you how much two players affects the team. Roosters 2015, Pearce, Hargraves, we were absolute trash.
But Jamie, you're forgetting the fact they still got Cherry Evans, Jake Trebojevic, Marty Tapau,
Simon,
Moses Sully.
Simon, with Cherry Evans, he did a Scott Drinkwater. He dropped the ball 3 times, was it?
Yep.
Yeah, he just overplayed his hand and it just went to shit. Yeah.
Well, 4 times, I think. They challenged the 4th one.
Well, they got the Eels that are. I tipped against them against the Knights, and the Knights gave them a battle, but the Eels were just too good. Gentlemen, I'm not a brave man anymore. I'm tipping the Eels.
I'm playing
Dales,
it safe.
Emile,
Yeah.
anyone?
Playing it safe. Nah, not touching it.
$1.28 seems pretty generous. I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah, I think Parramatta will and there's rumours that Moses might be back. So,
Well, I wanted to bring up, so this, remember, again, 6 weeks ago, we were at the Revesby Workers Club with Emile, and we watched the Parramatta Manly game where Ruben Garrick scored a try at the end to win the game, and it was ruled forward. Now, normally you would think, oh, okay, revenge factor, but is there any players that can fire up for Manly?
Well, who threw that ball?
Cherry Evans?
I think it was Turbo.
I thought it was Turbo too, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Turbo.
Yeah, it was.
He got pumped on as he threw it. He's not there to throw those balls. Garrick, I dropped him 3 weeks ago for that very reason. He's a ghost out there. He's catching a cold.
Yeah. Last year.
Fair enough.
I think Parramatta slimming with Gutherson is so fit, and when he just returns the ball back, he does not lose his team, and that's so important.
Yeah, no, I agree. He's with Moses out, he's saved them a bit. Now, Sal, you'll be happy about this. I've been on hater-rating this player, but he impressed albeit against the Bulldogs. Jamie, your brown boy banter, Panger, he played well.
Being in Broncos heartland, this guy's owed a lot of his fans a very big performance all year. He turned it up. He was very composed when in situations I was watching that he normally just flicks a switch and turns into a psychopath. He dialed it down. He did what he had to. He had to play in the front row, which might have been a masterstroke to, get in some tunnel vision, concentrate on what you got to do. You don't have to be that 13 Tamalolo for us this week. If you can back it up, that's another thing. But it was good to see him finally having a tilt his potential that he hasn't been showing.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Sal, he's a former keeper of yours in fantasy.
What happened, Sal?
It's a bit of Tony Williams, right? When Tony Williams just snapped the 1-2 games he did with us, this guy just got snapping, and
hopefully he shows a bit of consistency, because honestly, a couple of years ago he was touted for Origin and he he declined it and decided to continue playing with Tonga, which I commend him for. I actually really love these players playing for the small island countries, because hopefully it'll build up rugby league internationally. But I hope that he can bring that form into this next round, because I tell you what, the Tigers are going to be desperate. The Tigers can't lose this. If the Tigers lose this, they've got a tough draw coming ahead. This is tough.
What's everyone's thoughts of Luke Brooks being dropped, Jimmy?
Well, they had to do something. I don't think it was the right decision to drop Brooks, if I'm quite honest. I think they'll beat the Broncos this week. The Broncos, I'm surprised. I saw a tweet, something about the Broncos are back or something, or, they only beat us. Like, calm down.
Yeah, and they weren't that good, to be honest.
Hey, you guys had them too. You guys blew 3 or 4 times.
It's true.
Regarding Luke Brooks, listen, if I'm comparing him with other seasons, I don't think he's having a great season. I don't think he's having a terrible season. But there are probably other players in that side that are struggling more than Luke Brooks, I'd say.
Maguire likes to make statement picks, the same way dropping Benji was a statement pick.
Yeah,
and then lets him back
into
the side a few weeks
sometimes for him. I'm excited to watch Billy Walters. I do like him as a player, for where he's sitting at. I'm excited to see what he can bring.
So you do love Billy Walters, and I think, to be honest, I'm glad that they dropped Josh Reynolds. That game where he was
isn't he suspended?
He's suspended 2 rounds, I think.
Okay, so they didn't drop him. He deserves to be dropped. The way that he was carrying on in the Souths game, it reminded me of Joseph Leilua. Like, I understand you're trying to fire up your team, but what he was doing was not firing up his team.
I agree.
It was being petty.
And there's some of those tackles he does is very Hasler-like. I think Hasler taught him how to tackle, and he just jumps on it. I agree with you.
Yeah, so who do we see winning? Because I feel like this is a flip of the coin. I don't know which team will show up.
I went Tigers.
Yeah,
I went Tigers.
So you don't think the Broncos can continue that little bit of form?
I actually thought they could have, like Rabbitohs last week, I thought they were lucky, and I thought they were lucky the week before because the opposition didn't really respond. I thought they could have beaten the Rabbitohs last week.
It would be interesting to see how Broncos respond after winning a game. It might help them that extra mile. I don't know, but I think it'll be close.
I'll tell you what, they're not in the press as much as they were the past couple of weeks, so that win does help.
We're getting 35 stories a day.
And rightfully so. We've lost.
Yeah.
And that's what we're asking
for the last 2 years. Correct.
Why aren't
why isn't there any pressure? Yeah.
Exactly.
Gentlemen, Jamie, I'm going to leave this one for you.
Here we go.
We haven't talked about the Roosters all night.
I've been trying to keep a lid on it.
Have you seen him? He's been itching himself. Have you seen him?
The grand final replay. Now, it's. I think if Josh Hosson was still playing it, it would still be the flashy game of the round.
Yeah.
It's a bit disappointing. Jamie, Roosters on fire. They're playing at home. Canberra have struggled the last 4 weeks.
And a short turnaround for Canberra as well.
Yeah, 5-day turnaround. I'm very
5 days.
Yeah, that's not an even matchup in this climate, especially. I was listening to the 360 panel discussing. They got to catch the coach up for this game. They can't stay overnight. It's very hamstrung for Canberra. They're dealing with a lot. Jack Whiten's pretty much carrying that whole side now with
Jack and George Williams. I think George Williams has been fantastic.
It's been amazing, and that Whitehead it's kind of rejuvenated Whitehead a little bit. Like he was stagnant for a little bit old mate on the other side, what's his name, taken off to England. He was getting a lot of the media and a lot of the attention. Whitehead just kind of fell away a bit last year, but he's really finding another level again. I just see people teams that come up against us, if they match us in the middle for the first 20 to 30 and can just strangle us a little bit and just draw it in like Melbourne did, it's going to be an interesting match. But I just don't see many teams having the legs to just keep going after 10, 20, 30, just keeping up with us. It could be a gritty match, but I just don't see Canberra holding on.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that, Emile. Geez, I wish we had a team like the Roosters.
Don't. We were talking about this earlier today. Like, just imagine being a Roosters fan.
Well, you see young Lockie Lamb. Lockie Lamb comes in. He was a halfback last year. We gave him a couple runs.
Yep.
We bought Flanagan. He dipped down to probably fourth string utility. He comes on and he's sidestepping blokes.
Just rips it up.
Gaps.
It looked like he was enjoying his football, having some fun.
I know because he's Papua New Guinea, so I keep a close tab on him. I watch where he pops up here and there, and he's in the coach's box almost every game, no matter if he's in the reserves or not.
Really?
So he's just around that brains trust all the time, and he was given his chance. He earned his spot. He pipped Drew Hutchinson. So Drew Hutchinson is a bigger body, but you've got Keary there, so you don't really need this big, massive 5'8". So he got his chance, and he just brained it. So whether he gets the same amount of game time this week for Friendy, but we've got to start getting some Ks in his legs for the back end of the year, because if Friend goes down with an arm or a pec like he normally can do, we're in big strife, because then we're going to rely on our fifth stringer to pull us out of the fire. We were lucky with Verrills last year, very lucky.
Especially with no Canterbury Cup this year.
Yeah.
I was going to say as well, Ikavalu, I know he scored five tries or something?
Yeah,
I mean,
5 tries.
Two or three of them were actually mid-air. So we say about wingers scoring tries and stuff, but those were actually difficult.
Yeah. There's some sidelines very, very those shoes were very, very handy. But mind you, Ben Hampton, I feel so sorry for Ben Hampton. What are you going to do with a 100-kilo winger? What are you going to do? Some of those guys looking for opportunity. Lockie Lamb's off contract. We keep going back to earlier subjects, but there's a lot of young kids that need a crack at NRL that will take whatever you offer them, essentially.
But we let Morgan Harper walk to Manly today for nothing because he was getting opportunity. That's another. Isn't that obscene? It's fucking obscene.
I'm sorry, Emile. I am going to disagree with you. I don't
disagree.
see
Others have today as well.
I don't see the hot. I've watched Morgan Harper for the last 2 seasons play New South Wales Cup. Yep. New South Wales Cup is a different type of football.
And you know, I watch a lot of it too. Yep.
I know, I agree. And I don't think he ever did anything spectacular.
Yeah, you're not the first person to tell me that, and that's cool.
But is he playing in structures that don't allow him to play his potential?
Jamie, it's a New South Wales Cup. There's no such thing as structure.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, there's no such thing as defense as well.
Don't get me wrong, Emile.
Yeah.
This year would have been the perfect year
to blood him.
Just to see what it's like. If he goes to Manly, he goes to Manly. Just see what we had.
Yeah. It's not like our centres have been ripping it up.
But I'm not losing any.
I think what Emile's trying to push forward as well is a bit of that.
We were talking about junior development before.
Points Emile when he sees players leave, such as Morgan Harper, who hasn't given an opportunity.
And because they weren't given an opportunity.
But you know what? He's probably not going to get opportunity at Manly.
Maybe not.
Brad Parker, Moses Sully. They've got Dylan Walker that can probably play at the centres because they can't play Dylan Walker and Cade Cust at 5'8". Yep. Manly.
But to be fair, Slim, and if you've got players like Holland in front of you, then
and you can't get a crack. What does that say?
That's rude. That's just rude.
I mean, it's quite offensive. Like if you've got
it is
Holland
offensive.
in front of you.
it's you know what? It's fair enough. Just quickly, I think we've touched on that game enough, guys. Roosters winning.
Roosters are winning. Yep.
The Storm versus the Titans.
$7.
There's no.
Oh, wow.
Munster's back, Sleeman. It's just gonna. I reckon this will be a Melbourne Storm massacre, and
It'll be a clinic.
we'll come back and we'll just go after them. I'm going to call it Sleeman Mamorovsky. 2 or 3 tries.
Yeah.
My favourite, Pappenhausen, 7 tries.
When's Pappenhausen off contract? That's what I want to know. When, Emile,
He's a
you
Bulldogs
answer
fan. We need to get him in.
When's Pappenhausen off contract?
I'm going to Google. You guys keep talking.
I think he'd been signed last
Is
year.
this the new Bulldogs board right here?
He debuted against us, I think. He played his first game against us. He's taken off ever since.
Well,
Great
Yeah.
replacement for
I
Slater.
mean,
He
just
is contracted to the end of 2022. Sorry, guys.
just a jump. Did you guys see that Harry Grant is returning to Storm next year? Did anyone see that?
Yeah, I saw that.
they
Why
can be.
would he? Why
they-
would he?
They could be doing that to try and increase the price for Harry Grant for the Tigers to pay
It's
up.
gotta be- it's gotta
Part
be
of
a fact.
negotiation. But as long as they got Brendan Smith that can play second row, back row, lock, hooker, front row, like that Supercoach need to add a third position for him to play.
Hmm.
So, gentlemen, just quickly with the Storm, 13 plus, yay or nay?
100%.
Yeah,
130 plus.
Storm with
Yeah.
50 points.
Okay, gamble responsibly.
Always.
I think this is the second last game. South versus Knights. Now, the Knights started at $2.05 outsiders, and now they're shortened to $1.95. I am shocked
they
that
win.
I'm shocked that they're not favourites considering that Latrell Mitchell's out. Campbell, he's out. They'll obviously have no Braden Burns. Their forwards, they struggled against the Tigers. They went to an early lead, but they still struggled, I feel.
I thought the Knights were unlucky last week. Who was the player that was caught offside? Was it Anari?
Tex Hoy.
Yeah, who could have scored a try and could have leveled it up at 10-all. I thought they were unlucky against Para. And like I said, Sal's playing
Absolutely.
that great.
I absolutely agree. And I think the Knights are a certainty. I think they're like, to call it an upset is,
It's not
is-
even. Yeah.
I feel like it's wrong. I think, like I said, they should be favourites.
They're paying $2.05 on Bet Easy. Just excuse me while I do something completely unrelated.
Gamble responsibly. Sal,
Yes.
Souths, any chance?
Um,
Well, when I say any chance,
Yes.
do they deserve to be favourites?
no. They're only a chance if Knights and that Knights love a good error. So, only on the back end of Knights not completing their sets.
Because the thing is also, gentlemen, Mitchell Pearce is struggling with a knee injury. Say they decide to rest him. Tex Hoy is a very capable replacement. Or Sal's best mate, Connor Watson, who's named at number 14.
Off contract too, by the way, boys.
And the player that Sal wants to come to the Bulldogs, that now every single time he talks to me about it, he is winning me over. So,
Surely, Sleeman.
yeah, I hopefully
It'll be a close game, and I think it'll be a good game to watch. Back end of errors, Souths have a chance, but I think if Knights complete their sets, they'll win, not comfortably, but they'll win a nice football game.
fair enough.
Should be a good game.
Last game. This is the
Ooh.
Sunday 2:00. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep doing the barbecue and not watch.
Yeah,
this
the
game.
graveyard shit.
Actually, I'll lie. I'll lie.
Council meeting.
I lie. I'm gonna watch it because my good mate Aaron Woods
Oh.
is back.
Ah.
Here we
Name
go.
off the board. Just
He's-
get up.
I learnt my lesson last week, Slayman, about
What?
Woodsy.
Why is that?
When I bagged him about watching the podcast more.
Oh, mate. I'm glad that you know what? I forgive you. You know, you're a Bulldogs fan. You're all right. You do okay. Just don't ever let me catch you talking bad about Woodsy ever again. No, I'm joking.
My man.
Gentlemen, I thought the Warriors should have beat the Titans last week.
Yes.
They went to that fast start. They couldn't capitalize. I think the last 2 minutes they blew a 3-on-2 situation where the center couldn't pass it out to an open David Fusatua. Meanwhile, Cronulla, their defense licked a lot of points. Sean Johnson's return against the Warriors. Who are you having?
I went Sharks. I don't think it's going to be a pretty game of footy to watch, but I just went Sharks. I think they'll win.
Didn't we see Warriors players leave? There were 6 players.
Yeah, a couple of players. have
Yeah,
left,
the
yeah.
3 players were reported to be wanting to leave.
So have they actually left the country?
Well, there's been a
there's
few
not confirmed.
tweets from wives going, "Oh, we really need him home." Blah blah blah. So I think something's happened. I haven't looked at those other.
And that's fair enough. As much as we want to give.
Can I pose a question to a couple forensic accountants? When's the last time you saw an NRL game with 0 penalties? I know it's not the be and end all, but it's quite odd in my opinion.
I agree. Very odd.
Even with the onset of the 6 again, that's rubbish.
Yeah.
You know, let's make a quick note. When I see Emile's video and that fan is right next to me, let's just look at another person.
Come on, this is
There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what happens when
this is isolation in Melbourne.
Nah.
There's going to be
You're
some
not a fan of
American
itself.
Pie shit happening here.
yeah.
Wow. I think Emile's lost his mind. He's lost
I
his
lost
marbles.
it. I've lost it completely.
He never had it to start
I
with.
never had it to start with.
Let's blame Canterbury, the board. Look at the man. Anyway, is that it, Sleeman? Have we hit the end?
Well, yeah. So I think that's it for tonight.
Well, I've got a question for all you guys.
All right.
What's going to be the surprise of the week? And I'll let you guys think. My surprise is there's going to be an absolute, a random name popped up to not take the Bulldogs coaching role, but some surprise is going to pop up that the Dogs are after. And it's going to be something that will try to save the board in terms of the current media situation. Something like an Eddie Jones or someone left field.
Someone left field, yep.
Like a Paul Green that we've not really haven't even suggested. I have a feeling that will come out end of this week.
Yeah, my gut feel is Trent Barrett will reject the job. He'll realise he's stepping into Manly 2.0.
Okay. Jimmy, is there anything you've got to twist? Doesn't have to be Canterbury related. Anything you feel like, are we going to see more ACLs this week?
Please no.
No, I think
Wouldn't wish that
can't
upon
say-
anyone.
No, I don't. I'm just helping Jimmy out.
I think especially now with what Tolman said about the board, I think we'll see, and the whole thing about players being uncertain, I think maybe the board might step in and actually we'll see probably either, players told they're not going to be there next year or something. Something will happen relating to the board, I feel.
Or they'll step down with any luck.
Or but some shake up or something.
Jamie, doesn't have to be Bulldogs related, obviously. Any surprises you feel a surprise win, perhaps, or a surprise talent?
I was trying to think of along those lines. I can maybe see the Warriors throwing something up at the Sharks. They're not really stable at the moment either. But what are the easy bet options for another 4 try scores on one side of the field? There was 2 weeks in a row, 2 teams on the weekend. I've never seen tries like this scored in my entire
Amazing.
fan experience. It's insane. So whoever's playing a debut on the wing, get on them.
I reckon a Melbourne Storm player may score many tries this weekend.
Yeah.
Sleeman, do you have anything to say about what you're projecting for this week?
I think it's just going to be a normal week, another quiet week.
Listen to the excitement. They're just oozing.
What a great way to end a perfect podcast. I expected something completely left field from you.
I'm an accountant and I'm a pessimist, so I don't.
Attention to detail.
You Sleeman, I know. I think that's it. Gentlemen, Jimmy, Emile, Jamie.
Thank you, boys.
Thanks for joining us. It was a really good podcast. I really enjoyed this one. It was good fun. Hope to see you guys next week. Hopefully some good news this week, right?
Yes, an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
And Sleeman, until then, we'll talk next week.
See you next week.